Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Björn titled Glow. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen there of what looks to be an E-bow there if I'm not mistaken on the guitar, so this is already looking like quite an interesting track. And we're going to listen through it from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Man, it sounds gorgeous, doesn't it? Bjorn, if you're watching this, what type of bow is that? Because I've been looking to get into them at some point and they look really dope. They sound great. Great restraint. Impressive. Just the way it comes in with the lower section, it was fantastic with the full drum kit. See, that was a great fake out there. We're going to have another time through of that half of that chorus, or we're going to switch to a new part. It's cool. Yep, great. Return to that refrain. Yeah. See, what I like about this song, and I'm going to talk about it more in the conclusion, is that even though there are some really kind of wild, really sort of like technical playing here, the proficiency is respectable at the least. It's like we know how to make it kind of catchy as well and accessible. The chorus lead does sound like a vocal melody. And it's a cooler response as well. Very well done. Sensational. Oh, he's got that in the neck position. That's how he's getting such a sort of like tight lead tone there. Cool. That was tremendous. I'm really stoked that I got the opportunity to hear this. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. And just before we get into the conclusion, I just want to mention as well that I went and gave the track rating. I scored the track in a variety of different areas, and it came to an overall score of 8.1 out of 10. So the conclusion is going to sort of explain more of why that is, but just letting you know this song did very, very well. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Björn titled Glow. Now, what do I think this track is about? I think it's about the tone of the instruments, like that ebo that we had at the start there, the slow action of it, or the slow attack of it there, the way it kind of phases itself in. You just left this really warm, cozy sounding sort of overall sort of texture there that resonates for a lot of this track there. I'm unsure. I would assume there'd be more layers of that included within this. But it's also just the fact that we're not just relying, obviously, on the ebo, but a whole lot of other elements there, including the guitar, bass, and drums, as well as the rhythm and lead guitar parts, to basically communicate to the listener that we are able to handle having the lead guitar be the focal point the entire time. It was cool to have the ebo at the start to kind of lead the listener like, oh wait, why is this? This is an interesting, unusual sound. I think if you'd gone straight into the guitar, it might have been a little bit less effective because people were just like, oh, okay, this is 3.5 minutes of guitar stuff. And while don't get me wrong, I appreciate the work was done on this, and we'll talk about the guitar work in a moment. I think, yeah, it's just a nice sort of starting point to it. To be honest, the guitar is the vocals, right? So if I just talk about lead guitar melody straight off the bat, you have this wonderful melodic sort of like, there's wonderful melody that emanates throughout the hook sections, and the reason it's identifiable as a hook is because of that melody. And he comes back to it several times there, and it's just wonderfully phrased, and it's so elegant and minimalist there, especially in comparison to like the kind of the sweep or the tappy bits we've got later on, the bends. A lot of sort of fancy work is going on with stuff going on with the lead parts and the solos, but just when we need that hook line, we nail it. You can imagine someone singing it, and it's very sort of like regal. It sounds like it's very free and elegant there, and it's very simple notes within the same key sig. But, you know, it's dope. I think that the track itself, 3.5 minutes, it's like not through composed. It's phrased like a contemporary composition with like verse sections being the more sort of free-spirited solo parts. There was a bit more sort of sassy stuff going on with the hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides and stuff like that. But you kind of, the first verse is a bit more kind of like chilled out. The second verse gets a bit more sort of like spicy and antsy. And then as you go forward, the guitar playing becomes more sort of like a more intense and more technical. And you got these rhythm guitar parts there when he goes down the pentatonics and the blues down to the lower range of his 8th string there, where it sounds really heavy in that low end there, and it prompts the lead up guitar really nicely. And there's also like, it's just the simple sort of like, I'm not sure that'd be like a G sharp or something like that. If it's an F sharp, it'd be G sharp on the two. But either way, it's so effective because of the fact that it allows for so much flexibility with the notes you use in the scale if you only go with the root note for that part. That's why power chords are used in a lot of rock and metal music. The bass parts that we have within this track were relatively low key, and they weren't super over the top in the terms of like they were there, they had a pulse and a presence, but they weren't trying to overthrow the existing other elements within the track. They provided a nice ground bed for what was going on with the rhythm and lead guitar parts there, and they were great. So they were there to fill in the frequency spectrum whilst add a sense of unity to some of those lower guitar parts there in the chorus sections. I think that the drum parts that we had there were tremendous as well. The playing, the fluidity of the performance there was excellent. We had a nice sort of clarity of tone there, not just from the kit, but also in the performances from the various sort of cymbal patterns, as well as the kicks and snares, all the way through to the tom fills we had inevitably as well for the transitional bits there. We didn't have drums all the time. I think part of the power of this track is that it knew when to have things and when to not. We didn't have the same instrumental layering the entire time. We added more and more as we went along, but then we also never added too much, and it was very simple to sort of follow along to in part because of that, and it was exciting in part because of that. I think also part of it was that there were twists and turns like that first chorus kind of ended like a quadrant early or a quarter early, and you went back into another verse section. It was unexpected. There was a pause. That anticipation makes things more exciting for a listener, so that was very well done. So we're clearly putting effort into that. It's not just the fundamentals, it's stuff beyond that. But honestly, yeah, I think that the track itself, with the way that the instruments were put together, with the way it was structured and segmented, it sounded like, how do I say this? It sounded like a pop track, but it was metal and like had like the 8-string guitars and everything like that. And I don't mean pop as in like a bad way. I mean it as a compliment. It takes the best parts of it in a way that doesn't sound cheesy or kind of like inauthentic. It takes the best parts of what makes pop music work, allocates it to a lead guitar, knowing that you can do this sort of shreddy kind of fancy stuff and almost Vi-esque stuff, mixed in with the simpler elements there, and combines and cascades into this composition that overall feels very like has a great glow to it. The major inflections there, alongside some of the minor and bluesy parts there, did not overshadow it. Like, it ultimately had a really sort of positive presence to it. It was elegant and it was pretty, and you wanted to continue listening to it. I think that it was tremendously well played there. I think there was one note where I was like, kind of like that placement there, but then it was like, no, it's playing with the listener's expectations in a sense. It was just like, it had a big bend to it, and I was like, oh, we've got a pregnant pause, and then boom, back into more. It created this tension now. That was really exciting. I think the studio recording and mixing and mastering was hella tight, man. It was great sounding in the mix there. Nice balance of between the ebow and the guitars and the bass and the drums and everything like that. I think when you don't have a vocalist, you need to have something in the center of the stereo field in order to kind of lead the singer through it, unless you want it to be more of an atmospheric experience. We had that with the main leads there, with the rhythms coming on the sides, double tracked. And ultimately, things were well fleshed out in the frequency spectrum as well as in the stereo field. But things going like backwards and forwards, I think, there, you know, or like there was movement there. It definitely the music surrounded you in the headphones. There was lots of dynamic range there. Things were not overcompressed, but it was still nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. And that effectively is my review of this track from an act named Björn Donath titled Glow. I want to hear more from them in future. I think they're a great musician, and I wish them the best of luck with this release, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go check them out via their various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.